As I go through a pass on a bunch of videos I've wanted to make for a while, these short 5-minute videos are a big part of what I'm going to be doing for the next month or so. So, time to start wrapping up the Call of Duty campaign so we can move on into other stuff like Starfield coming up. But to get to the end, we have to go back to the beginning for Call of Duty. Call of Duty 4. So, the story begins. You're a new recruit brought in by the SAS. They've recently had some issues with cutting some watermelons, so they need the extra manpower. I mean, it's the British, I'm not surprised. They probably got all the big, strong men building overhyped bridges. Or clocks, actually. They got nice clocks over there. That's one thing you gotta give the British, is that everyone knows exactly what time it is at all times. You're then instructed to go meet Captain Price for a debriefing on the mission, but turns out the debriefing is just Captain Price bullying you for picking a stupid-ass alias, Soap. You know, they never explain why his name is Soap. Like, nowhere in this series do they explain that backstory at all. Imagine you just show up to a military camp and go, yo, my name is Sanitizer, and you just never explain why. Soap's first mission is to join Captain Price and his Fruit Ninja squad to sneak onto this boat to find information on a possible nuclear bomb that the bad guys may have. Then, the bad guys show up and try to take down the entire boat alongside Captain Price and Soap. Then Soap starts tripping on some shrooms and starts walking sideways. You are then introduced to the conflict going on in the Middle East. And after that, Nikolai, the guy that gave Price the intel on the boat mission, is then captured and held captive by the Russians, at which point your mission is to retrieve him. Once you land, you're introduced to Kamarov and his army of Diglets. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here, but you drop in, you fight alongside Kamarov, he kind of leads you around, doesn't tell you much of what's going on, at which point Captain Price says, "Scooby-Dooby-Doo, I've had enough of you," and threatens to throw him off the cliff. As you do. Kamarov tells him where Nikolai is being held, and you have this cool little mission with the night vision goggles. You are then introduced to the American side of this story, and to be honest, the Americans are kind of the fodder in this story, so there isn't a lot to say in these missions. The Americans are trying to find Al-Assad, which is the guy the Russians are sending the nukes to, and that's basically all they do. Captain Price, shortly after retrieving Nikolai, their helicopter gets shot down by God, Zeus maybe. Now stranded, they enlist the help of an AC-130. Then the Americans, as they close their grip on the Middle East, learn of a potential nuclear bomb, but they're not able to evacuate fast enough, and it goes off, taking a large portion of the American forces. Nikolai, I guess he's like Varys from Game of Thrones, just has absolute knowledge over everything. He gives us another tip as to the potential whereabouts of Al-Assad, as he wasn't in the Middle East with the nuke going off. Captain Price and the Fruit Slashers quickly find him, only to be made aware of the real threat. And this is where we get one of the GOATs of gaming history. All gillied up, you play as a young Captain Price alongside Captain Macmillan. Your mission is to assassinate one Imran Zakhaev in the middle of a weapons deal that's taking place. Now, this is just me. I know it's Captain Price and all, but if Macmillan has to explain to him how to hit the shot like 40 seconds before he has to take the shot, maybe he shouldn't be the one taking it, you know, just saying. Because Price ends up missing. Even if you hit Zakhaev right in the melon, you know, maybe that's why they had to bring in Soap. Price still somehow misses the shot, and the Zak lives to cause all the other ruckus that happens in this game. So now we go back to the present. Price, knowing now who the real enemy is, he comes up with a plan to find the Zak by first finding his son, who has this bright blue tracksuit which makes him nice and distinguishable from every other person in the Russian army. The tracksuit definitely helps him run faster, but it doesn't make him any smarter as he corners himself on a rooftop, at which point he goes, "Yeah, yeah, yeet, to heaven I skeet." Zak surprisingly didn't like that one very much, and he vows war on everybody. He said these hands are rated E for everyone. Then the final mission begins. The British and the Americans join forces like Infinity War to put an end to the Zak's reign of terror. This leads to the final confrontation on the bridge, where seemingly overwhelmed, Price and the boys seem to be close to their demise. Also, Griggs loses his mind and starts dragging me out of cover and into the middle of the street for absolutely zero reason. We were behind cover with Captain Price, and he just drags Soap out and gets himself killed. What was the plan here, Griggs? But then, an unlikely ally came forth to save them. Kamarov, after almost getting Sparta kicked off that cliff, he says, "Thank you, Captain Price. I'll always be in your debt." Real cuckold behavior here by Kamarov. More like Stockholm Syndrome at this point, I guess. But hey, we appreciate it. He buys us enough time, and Soap is able to take out Zak, putting an end to his evil plan to take over the tri-state area. And that is the story of Call of Duty 4. Peace.